Welcome to BALLBUSTERS Live on the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this, the Quantum Eraser YouTube channel, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with all the Quantum Eraser goodness. There's also a PayPal and a Super Chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. Now we are joined by Quantum Eraser himself, Sleeping Warrior, Chocolate Saiyan, Arwin, and Paula, otherwise known as Bible Literalist. Welcome, one and all.
Good evening.
Hello, hello.
That gap was Paula, with a mic that's not working. Hey, QE. Super slick.
Ahoy, hoy.
Super slick. Welcome to BALLBUSTERS. So, was that Paula? Was that Paula? I know it's not professional to do a sound check right after the intro, but did we hear her?
No, it was me, I think.
No, okay, no
Yeah,
worries.
that was Riley.
No worries. So we're rolling, we're live, that's all that matters. So on this particular live broadcast, we're going to be covering some of the sillier GlobeTARD assertions that are made as a use to prove the globe / disprove flat earth in some instances. So it's going to be a roller coaster of dumb nonsense, but nevertheless it'll be entertaining for those of you who are already in the know and appreciate that the world is obviously and observably flat.
I have a question before we start.
Question?
Has this been scripted or is it totally ad hoc?
Oh, it's never totally ad hoc, but it's, you know.
I've not seen any script. This is ad hoc from my perspective.
This right now is ad hoc, but most, if not all, of QE's presentations have already been developed. But in this particular instance, it hasn't been honed for this episode. Let's put it that way.
We're winging it.
No, not really. It's a proper presentation. Stuff will go up on screen. People can read text. That's a proper developed presentation.
Okay, so let's go. What's the first point then, John?
What? No foreplay?
No.
Okay, then let's do some foreplay.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the foreplay? Who wants to lead here? Obviously, I'm not leading because I'm not quite sure what the foreplay is in this context.
This is starting to sound really dirty, guys.
Nathan started it.
It's just a chit chat before we get into the presentation for real. So maybe
This is not a swapping party, okay?
I could do the hosting bit and say, "What's your favourite stupid globe proof, Anthony?"
Gravity.
Mine's Coriolis.
Alan, what's your favourite pet hate or your favourite pet topic that you like to talk about the most?
I don't know. It all gets equally bad depending on what their obsessive focus is going to be. So I don't know. Gravity can be really annoying, and especially that they don't actually know what it is, what it does, what they think it does. With Coriolis, it is the persistent inability to tie the double think that they perform together in one structure in their minds.
We all know what Spurs' favourite topic is at the minute.
Oh, God, don't bring that up.
Yeah, but
no, I'm not going to do.
I'm going to take Arwen's answer as he doesn't like the double speak in all of their answers.
Yeah, that's mostly it. Well, it's not, double speak can be kind of funny. It's just that if you do it as a trick, okay, I guess it could be kind of funny, but when you do it to actually fool yourself and then get pointed at it and don't see it, that's when things get really scary, in my opinion.
Yeah, you have people having shades and things when their double speak's pointed out. Wait, what was that, Chocolate?
No, I was gonna say it is a little rough to listen to them make a statement and then negate that statement in the following statement, or sometimes in the same statement, which is their whole argument. And it's like, what are you doing? We're like, why? What's going on?
And sometimes they do it even artistically so. They manage to make a interesting sounding philosophical statement from it. like not having to take things on the what is level and
Yeah.
that, and
right.
you can think of it as this is all
Yeah.
creative
And then they try
attempts.
to fix it up.
But this is creative improvisation on their part, really, when they do that.
I mean, do they think about it like that? Or like when somebody like George Mooser says, you could think of it as a force. Do they really, in their mind, say, yeah, you can really think of it as a force, even though I know it's not a real force, but we could just make it seem like a force and just do math. And yes, force. It almost seems like a self-brainwashing. Like, it's crazy.
I got to cite a George Mooser article the other day in Liverpool. It's not the one that I normally cite about the Einsteinian gravity superseding Newtonian principles. It was his other one to do with time dilation. And this girl put me on the spot and she asked me to explain the observation of time dilation. And I was like, what observation? There isn't one. She claims there is one, but there isn't really one. But she wanted me to explain it, so I managed to get a shout out to George Mooser in it again. And I challenged George, what's his name, Fight the Flat Earth, to question me on that one as well again. Just in case he did want to pick on me again. It was brilliant. I really enjoyed it.
Time dilation, that's ridiculous. You'd have to have even theoretically, you would have to have extreme situations, extreme gravity situations, which I don't know what it really is, in order to even supposedly have anything like that.
The only time I've ever seen any time dilation was on Superman.
You can't dilate time, dude. Time's a concept. You can't bend it.
No, I've seen time dilation, John. I watched Superman when he was spun backwards around the Earth when Lois Lane died, and he dilated time then.
1.21 gigawatts.
Yeah. That's the only example of time dilation I've ever seen. Oh, and obviously Back to the Future.
Let's see if Paula has any.
Just have a quick heads up from Paula, see if we can get any sound out of her. Can you hear us, Paula?
I hear you. You hear me?
Yeah.
Hey.
Bible
Skype
literalist,
update.
Bible literalist, ladies and gentlemen, subscribe today. Good to have you, Paula.
Thank you. Yes, it was a Skype update that changed all my settings to default, and so I had to go fix them. But I agree, time is not a thing that can be bent, and neither is space.
Or dilated.
Or dilated.
And that thing on Superman where he flew backwards over the Earth, that's not real. Like, it's not at the what is level. Oh, hang on, what's the saying he says? It's not at
the operate at the what is.
The only
level.
thing real there was the actor. So.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering that would that happen on the Earth if there was no Coriolis effect? Sorry.
That spinning around the world backwards, that was the end of Superman 1, wasn't it? That was the first Superman with Christopher Reeve, right?
Yep.
Yeah, when Lois Lane died in the earthquake that swallowed a car.
Right. Did you know that was intended to be the end of Superman 2? They filmed both of them at the same time, and based on how it was received by the critics, they actually rushed together a cobbled version of both Superman 1 and 2 and just changed the ending to be Superman 2's ending on Superman 1. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Well, you learn something new every day. I'm full of useful information like that. Very, very handy to know.
It's the same director, right? 1 and 2?
No, not the same director.
No?
No, they did. When Superman 2 was done, it was done by a completely different director with a very different vision, and they didn't get Marlon Brando, and there's a few other things that didn't quite go the way for the movie. And then, I don't know, the 25, 30 years later, the original director who did, let's say, 60% of the actual footage that was shown in Superman 2, went back and did his cut with his version, with some CGI, Marlon Brando, and various other things. There's two versions of Superman 2.
So they had a lot of surplus footage in the
not
first
surplus,
movie.
they filmed two movies at once, so no, not at all. They just ended up editing part of what was intended for number 2 on number 1, and then obviously it got released, did very well, and then it went back to, but with a different director. But then later on, much later on, the same director went back to it and got together all of the cans of footage and re-edited Superman 2. So there's two versions of Superman 2. One is really corny, and the other one's quite good.
Two versions of Superman 2?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I did know that, actually.
Fascinating film trivia.
Nathan, you are a font of useless knowledge.
You also know that Super Mario Brothers 2 isn't really Super Mario Brothers. I'm only joking. Let's move on. That's true too. That's true too. Anyway.
What about that time dilation? It's not.
About
it's not
that Mandela effect that we don't have and isn't real. Yeah, about it.
Yeah, it's just your mind playing tricks on you because you don't remember precise details on demand always.
Right, exactly. You're pushing some garbage out when you're pushing other garbage in.
Yeah.
Hey, what's Paula's favorite BallTard argument?
I never tried to think of a favorite.
Oh, come on, you must have your favorite ones. Everyone's got their favorites.
I think probably gravity. That's the thing that they go to most often is stuff just falls down, therefore there must be gravity and it must work the way we thought and we think, we prove. I mean, it's just there. Look at it.
Yeah. There's got to be a shout out to the other one that they always do, which is the appeal to the claim that is there's hundreds of years of science and all the experiments and there's like literally nothing. And it's like they all think it. It's like they say it and don't even.
It's actually a statement of shame. They just don't know it yet. It's like,
but they all seem to say
we have
it.
hundreds of years. We know this, right?
Yeah. It just seems to drip off the mouth as though it's like a total logical lie, but they just say it anyway. But they all have that unison about them where it just naturally flows. It's like, how do you all know to lie like this? It's like none of you know any of the experiments, but you believe that they're all there. That makes them real.
The only problem with the current setup for the GlobeTARDs is they're led into a very false sense of security. So we had it yesterday. The Flat Earth debate that I'm talking about will go out tomorrow on Sunday. And there's a dude that comes on and at the end he claims, look, man, this is my first time here. And it's like, no, you came in with such gusto, such arrogance in terms of his total understanding that he was correct. You know, in other words, he walked in with the pre-understanding that we're complete idiots and he'd easily debunk anything we said with only a limited understanding of the globe and its model. And that's a very bad position to be in when you face off with someone like Sleeping Warrior or me or basically anybody on the panel who actually does understand how to argue the subject and typically won't be the ones getting cornered, will be cornering them. But like I say, it's terrible if you're that person because you know, most people who come to this subject and new are going to go, well, we already know it's a globe. In other words, there's that deep-seated arrogance that they're already right.
Yeah. And obviously we've got the total opposite. We're like, I'm not that sure that I am right, but it does seem logical that we're right because it doesn't seem like you've got all the evidence that you've got. But everybody on our side seems to have that 50-50ness where they're not always absolutely confident in everything. So I'm going to approach with caution. I'm not going to be crazy with all my assertions. But on the other side, it's like anything goes. They can just literally spew it. They just dribble it out the mouth like it's baby food. It's ridiculous.
That's the default position for people, though, isn't it? A little knowledge is a dangerous thing, and most people don't appreciate that. Now, here, we have to be acutely aware that if we even get it slightly wrong in an argument, it will be held over the fires. So we don't want to get it wrong in any way, shape, or form, and have to be very careful with our phraseology, our terminology, the semantics of what we're saying. It's all got to be very carefully thought out so that we're not held to account on something that's accidentally incorrect. So
yeah, even if you're just slightly off, they'll use that little bit off to explain away all of the rest that you've said.
Yeah, we've also got to be.
They love the straw man you.
I was just about to say that.
Whenever they get the chance.
I was just about to say we've also got to be logical fallacy ninjas and be able to spot their.
Yeah. Right. You'll say something, then they'll suddenly have this elaborate interpretation of what you said, while that obviously has nothing to do with what you actually said, and then straw man you with that for like 5 minutes.
Right.
Brenda especially likes doing that.
I've just thought of another one that's my pet hate as well, even though it's not in the top 5. It's when we start talking about the meanings of words and we say like no doesn't mean yes and force doesn't mean non-force and not real doesn't mean real. And then they just turn around and say, but that's just semantics.
Pseudo means sham.
It's what?
Pseudo means sham.
Yeah, but when we start applying the meanings of words, they just call that semantics. But when they do it to us, I mean, I saw Slice Barkane's thing against F.E. Cole the other day, and he had the dictionary out, and I've never seen a baller get the dictionary out. But when it suits them, they're happy to do it. But when we do that, they're like, oh, it's just semantics. And I'm like, hang on a minute. But we're not allowed to use the dictionaries to interpret the words now. Is it only that way when you guys want to rely on the meanings of words or what?
Yeah,
We're
how many
fortunate.
people
Just
lost
semantics. Hey,
their
it's just
sh-
your
whenever
religion.
whenever you brought up the definition of supersede? How many people lost their shit?
Yeah.
And with
And
with
pseudoscience.
it on screen, they're like, nah, that's not what it means. It means refined and worked with.
Add
Like,
to.
shut up! It says replaced. Like, are you kidding? Oh,
I think what
man.
it is, them people have been watching too much Fight the Flat Earth, and I've heard people saying that gravity is the container, and I'm like, what are you talking about? It's not a force.
We're lucky
Shout
when we
out to
enter.
Fight the Flat Earth.
We're lucky when we enter into this
Shut
kind
up,
of discourse, though, because
Well done.
we are being recorded. And while we might knock the people who will enter into these conversations as rookies, when we're entering into a conversation with a dissonant GlobeTARD, their words, their doublespeak, their incorrect assertions are dedicated to these recordings. You know, we've got one guy in Discord at the moment. I'm hoping QE's published the link for Discord in the bottom of his live chat. We shall see. But if not, if you're a member of the Science versus Pseudoscience, I should say, Discord server, then there will be interactive parts of this show where we'll briefly hand over to the Discord server. If there's any public opinion or questions, etc., feel free to do so. If you haven't, QE, can you pop a link for the public to join in the info box below the live stream?
There is a link in the info box for Discord.
Perfect. So anybody who's watching this right now on the Quantum Eraser channel live, you can join via the public link in the info box at the bottom. We crack on with the presentation.
Is that enough foreplay?
I wanted to get back to semantics. That has to be one of the lamest, stupidest appeals ever. Yeah. Semantics. Yeah, words, they mean things. So
Yeah, they do.
we go to semantics. You don't change the meanings of the words, clowns. That's why.
Did you notice that girl in Liverpool when I said something like, "What happens if your experiment doesn't match the claim?" And rather than accepting or rejecting the null or the alternative, she said, "You change the maths."
Change the maths. I didn't catch
Yeah,
that bit.
that's what she said.
My God. My God.
Oh, it's ace.
She was claiming to be.
It's Catholicism.
She was claiming to be educated in science, so that's an embarrassment.
They both want. I call her a quantum mechanics girl.
Just getting a little bit of feedback from someone else. Just try and keep yourselves on mute if you're not talking.
I may dedicate a show at some point. Like, I just haven't had the time because of the channel, which was a whirlwind. Before we start, I just want to state that the tentative debut date for my channel is Tuesday, September 17th. Be here or be sphere.
When you say
But
debut,
when you say you
just
haven't
mean
had time to do something, does that mean like you've not had a conceptual medium that an arbitrary timescale that we give it, or did you not have the time that doesn't actually exist?
False dichotomy.
it's like I'm
Time
not
doesn't
even here.
exist.
It's
an
like
scale.
it's literally like I'm not even here. So you're already debuted. You just mean when you're running it rather than me.
Yeah, yes. I was going to say something like that, but I thought I'd get it by.
Yeah, I was a little confused by that. I was
I
like,
mean,
wait a minute.
when QE's actually
Are we
pressing
on
the
his
buttons,
channel right now? Like, what?
it's a big deal to him, absolutely meaningless to his audience. Not even worth mentioning, literally. Because to them it makes no odds who presses go. It doesn't matter. Anyway.
Yeah. So you want to get on with it?
What, no foreplay?
That was pretty good foreplay. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
You talked
Like
like
20
too soon. I was going to make a
That's like
time dilation joke,
Yeah.
but I was going to make a time dilation joke, but
No, go ahead. That's fine.
the
You can
moment
add
has
on.
passed. The moment has passed. Right, you're up.
All right.
We've got you on screen.
All right, we did this presentation a few months ago. I added to it, took a little bit away. This is a step-by-step block of instruction demonstrating how you deconstruct BallTard arguments and hand-spinning space monkeys their asses. Step by step. So, this first claim, I haven't heard this in a while. The baller claim, yeah, you'll recognize it. Why are these la la la? And they always, just post a picture. Sometimes they don't even post that. Why are these la 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 disappearing below the horizon? Now, I haven't been on the circuit all that much. It's just been hit or miss for me. But I haven't heard this appeal ever since we brought this up. So that's probably a good thing. But let's deal with it anyway, because there's a concept behind it that I want to touch on. So number one, hello, McFly. They immediately shift the burden of proof fallacy and request you explain it, right? Well, you didn't make the claim. I'm not responsible to explain your claims. That's the concept behind that. Still happens. It's happening all the time. It happened like 5 or 6 times on the show this week. So my response is, what in the world? Why would I need to explain it? I never claimed anything whatsoever to do with your la la la. It's your evidence, so you validate it. Your claim, counselor. It's not my claim, it's your claim. That's what I tell them. Crayon munchers, do you wander around aimlessly asking complete strangers to explain your claims? And that's what happens to a lot of flat earthers that, they're on these debate shows and these guys just they just make stuff up and ask you to explain it, implying that they have the correct answer somewhere behind them, but they want you to explain it. That's nonsensical. I'm not explaining it. Now, if I made a claim for something, then yes, I'm responsible for the claim to provide evidence. Duh. I mean, you have to be some type of insane, to walk up to somebody, a complete stranger, and ask them to explain something that they didn't make claims for. I mean, what in the world? Are you insane? You guys are in dire need of some new tactics. Like, hire a preschooler and float this nonsense to them. See if they laugh before you bring it out of the closet to us.
Come on, QE. Explain unicorn farts. Nathan is always talking about it.
Negative. And with your observe and declare explanation, we're going to need you to validate it. That is, when you post your claim, you need to validate, the steps. A, natural phenomena observed. B, formal scientific hypothesis. C, identify the independent, dependent, and control variables in the experiment, and post a null hypothesis that was rejected or falsified. Why? Well, you're directly implying a cause and effect relationship. Your la 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 is obstructed due to curvature. That's what you're implying when you make this claim. So there's a method that adjudicates and validates natural cause and effect relationships. It's called the scientific method. See A, B, C, and D directly above, right up here. Right? You guys forget about that. From the University of Rochester Physics Labs. Common mistakes in applying the scientific method. The most fundamental error is to mistake the hypothesis for an explanation of a phenomena without performing experimental tests. Sometimes common sense and logic tempt us into believing that no test is needed. There are numerous examples of this dating from the Greek philosophers to present day. But you BallTard clowns, you don't even have a friggin' hypothesis, right? All you have is your picture with your crashing religious spin-attached just so story. That's why you immediately shift the burden of proof fallacy and ask others to explain it, because you can't. All you can do is parrot wiki, your alma mater. So flat earthers, take your head out of your fourth point of contact and set these retards straight right from the outset. As soon as they ask you to explain something that you didn't make claims for, call them on it. Say, hey, I didn't claim that, you did. Go ahead and explain it, and then confirm and validate it via experiment. Or it's just a fairy tale, right? The religious retards don't even know their own model. And we're back on this argument about going below the horizon or obstruction, right? From their alma mater wiki again. Atmospheric refraction near the ground produces mirages. Such refraction can also raise or lower, or stretch or shorten the images of distant objects without involving mirages, right? You see this term right here when they say lower? You understand what that means. If you don't, let's get specific. From the physics of the air, in 1920, your own model quote unquote. Sinking is the opposite of looming. In sinking, objects that are normally seen above the horizon appear to be less elevated or may even disappear below the horizon. So the answer is in your own model. Why are you asking us? It's right here. My word, people. Maybe that's why they stopped with this question. But I don't know. I'll put it out to the group. I haven't heard it since we did this presentation a few months ago, but let's see. Questions, comments?
We'll also get a bit from Discord as well, so if you're in Discord, be prepared to be asked. Hopefully we won't get complete silence out of you. Do you want to go first, Darwin? As you interrupted.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. No, I was just goofing around, but George is in chat. George, the shaving man, calling QE an evangelist.
So, with regards to the sinking and looming claim, I've seen with my own observations and my own path, my own experiments or tests or whatever you want to call it, supporting evidence, observations, whatever. I've seen times, I've rang Nathan and said, bloody hell, Nathan, it doesn't half look bendy today. And he's like, nah, it's not going to be bendy. It's just the way it looks that particular day. I've also seen days when it's been flat as a pancake and absolutely no evidence whatsoever of curve. I've seen it both ways. I've seen it both ways, like in the sense that once I've seen it look watery, like curvy water. It's common. Usually it looks flat, but I have seen it go both ways. And I would say that when I've seen boats that look like they're behind the horizon, that is explained by this phenomenon or this explanation called sinking, because I have seen it do that myself. And if anybody's honest on their side, they will have seen it too. But they'll never tell you that they've seen it when it looks like it's been presented behind the curve and gone or whatever. They'll only pick the ones that suit their narrative. But I've seen it both ways, and I can say that I would agree with what's just been described by John. Because stretching and shrinking, towering and looming and all this, the atmosphere does do weird things. It does confuse you, and I can't tell what is the default position. Sometimes it looks bendy, sometimes it looks flat. I just don't know. Usually it does look flat. But I have seen the odd occasion where it does look bendy, and its refractive effects caused optically to the perception of the observer. Whatever the world is, it's inconsistent and it's unpredictable and it's unreliable, and it's never really the same horizon twice in my eyes.
Well, there's another way to approach it, though, to get serious for a moment. But yeah, I totally agree. Well, I think that despite these concealments and the bending going on, because that can be kind of irregular, usually when they get the whole curvature idea is a combination of some bending going on and concealment and all that, and then the lack of air clarity being extra high so that you just don't see that far. Because even with all the bendy effects, if the air clarity is sufficiently good enough, then you'll always be seeing that there's just more beyond that apparent curve point where the bending goes on. So that is how I see it. There simply is no persistent cumulative drop.
Yeah. Totally unpredictable. You can't predict what you're going to get.
Right. But just before you two carry on this conversation,
I would say,
Chocolate, words from you?
Yeah, I would say we don't really hear these types of arguments too much anymore, because it's like, even though all these things, we know these things happen, there is perspective, sinking, looming, all these things do happen in the atmosphere and cause different effects, when looking at them. But the thing is like, how do you get from that to curvature? And it's like, oh, you guys have a calculator that gives you curvature?
Yeah, it's not that reliable horizon anymore.
Really? And
yeah.
do you account for all these things in that calculator? And then what else you have in that calculator? A presupposed R value in there? That's cool. Where'd you get that from? So how does any of this tell us actually that there is curvature? It doesn't. So, and they know not to bring that here. So that's not happening.
You hear a spoiler? Oh, we've already sorted you, haven't we? Sorry. Yes, of course you can.
Yeah, the fact that there's such a phrase as optical illusion ought to be the first clue that when you're talking about what you can see, whether it's your eye or a camera, you're talking about something complicated in the real world because of all the variables, and they're continually changing, especially over water, over the ocean. So if they're talking about boats over the horizon, anybody who would just say that's curvature and walk away does not understand science or logic or physics of light. I mean, I studied that as one of the physics courses in college. Is we did all sorts of things with light. It's how fiber optics work, is the fact that light can be bent, and how holograms work is the fact that your brain can be easily fooled. We had all sorts of experiments with creating optical illusions, and I don't know if anybody's familiar with the artist Escher. His drawings are absolutely, they're fun to look at because they defy everything your brain is telling you about the real world. So right off the bat, anybody who says, because I see the bottom of the boat disappear first, then that means there's curvature, is just ignorant on so many levels. I don't know where to start.
Before we move on, I just want to ask the panel one question, and then we'll get a few opinions from Discord. What exactly is the horizon?
The apparent position where the sky and the sea appear to meet.
What does apparent mean?
Not real. Like a virtual particle? Not real.
Actual.
Not actual. Not actual position.
Does it matter if we're working at the what is level, or is this only to do with the real world level?
Yeah, well, we do really is over here.
There is a point. The horizon is an apparent position, a not actual position, where it seems the ground meets the sky. So the point of this is that when you are applying these mathematics to things that have, and this is John's point, may have sunk or loomed. Forget about the arbitrary application of 7/6 of the begging the question R value that Chocolate pointed out. It might be either or. You're not measuring anything in most instances when it comes to these mathematics. You're just applying the arbitrary terrestrial value of refraction as opposed to measuring any actual refractive values. But the point is that they're reifying that not actual position into the leading edge of their sphere. How much has it gone over the horizon? That's a nonsense statement. Over the not actual position where the sky meets the ground, meets the sea, or whatever it is you're looking over. Well, who cares? But that's what they're measuring. So I'll just raise the mic on Discord and see if there's anybody. We've got a few people in there. Virus, is it Democh, and your letters are just too small. Sin something or other. Hello, good to have you.
Why these people do join on?
Well, they might have something to add.
Contribute. Why are you there?
Every single one of them on mute. At least have the opportunity. A couple more seconds, then we'll move on. QE.
The only baller in there is Acum Virus. The other two are flat earthers.
No, fair enough. Should we move on, QE?
Yeah, that's fine. I want to go back to something that you stated, which was really important, Nathan. Thank you for bringing that up. When they state refraction, they're immediately begging the question because they're using terrestrial refraction, and R is automatically assumed in their equations. So that's really it's begging the question fallacy right off the bat. And I liked how you differentiated that with refraction, because light does refract, but when they say it, they mean terrestrial refraction. Also, another good point, outstanding. It's the apparent position. The horizon is an apparent position. So you stated it perfectly. Thanks for adding that.
Well, there is another thing to mention about that 7/6R and begging the question point. And when they basically, the minute they apply refraction and the 7/6R, if you look to where Mick West claims that he gets his numbers from, he claims he gets it from the International Standard Atmosphere, the ISA. But his numbers are based on an R value that is not mentioned in any way whatsoever on the International Standard Atmosphere model. So basically, it's a false representation of fact, intending on deceiving people, because it isn't based on the thing that he claims it's based on. It's based on a geometric curve. Well, that's not the International Standard Atmosphere. So don't allow him to don't allow them to use refraction when it's not based on the International Standard Atmosphere that it claims it's based on. It's a false claim designed to deceive people. In other words, just reject it. Don't let them do it.
Okay, you're back up.
Cool. So we all know this one. Say hello to 2015. Hey, 2015 called. They want this disheveled monkey back. The angle to Polaris changes 1 degree every 69 miles you move south, right? Number one, this isn't a scientific inquiry or proof. For brevity, angles are not natural phenomenon. Number two, the measurement is based and taken from the horizon. And we just got done talking about this. The horizon is only apparent, meaning not actually, right? Number three, latitude and longitude lines aren't frigging real. They're imaginary and are based on a sphere. See Eratosthenes. Ergo, you're begging the question. Number four, this whole disheveled monkey is an entire affirming the consequent formological fallacy. If P, then Q, Q, therefore P. Here it is. If the spherical Earth with a radius of la is true, P, we will observe differing elevation angles to Polaris as a function of distance from the North Pole, Q. We observe differing elevation angles from the North Pole, Q. Therefore, the Earth is a sphere, therefore P. Prove the spherical Earth first, crayon munchers. P.S. Please actually support your claim, right? This is what we need for you. Pay close attention, ballers. So, A, you need to show the sextant and the calibration certificate. B, we need to see a baller stand on the geographic North Pole and show us Polaris 90 degrees above their head. C, for support, at least 5 other points with a multiple of 69 miles from geographic North Pole and the degree measurement. One must be on the equator. D, we're not going to accept any of your crayon munching cartoons, none of your images or graphics, or harebrained claptrap models. They won't be accepted. We're into the really is world. You have to show this to us. Are we tracking? PS number 2. I love this one. As Polaris gets closer to the not actual horizon, its position is also apparent due to celestial refraction. Is that going to cause any problems? A, validate that Polaris is 323 light years away. That's the current spiel that they're giving us, 323 light years away. The previous estimate was 434 light years. Guess what the error is on that, folks? 643 trillion mile error. Can you grasp this? You know, there are, in 30,000 years, 1 trillion seconds. This is almost unimaginable. It's almost incomprehensible, the size of this little fiasco here. That's how ridiculous it is, folks. PS number 3, Polaris isn't 90 degrees above the magnetic north either. The BallTards don't know the difference between magnetic north, geographic north, that's true north, grid north, and celestial north. They don't. I catch them all the time. PS number 4, attempting to discern the shape of what you're standing on by looking to the heavens is tantamount to trying to ascertain the shape of Cassiopeia by looking at a mud bog. Yeah, utter morons. In conclusion, what we got here is known in the industry as a convoluted gaggle screw, peddled and parroted by no-depth Wiki Discovery Channel parroting pretender clown Muppets. It couldn't discern the difference between their asses and a pipe wrench. So, ballers, I see a bad moon rising. I see trouble on the way. Looks like you're in for nasty weather. You got me. Questions, comments?
We'll go to Just to mix it up a bit, we'll go to Discord first. I think Acumvirus has got a question about angles. Head. Share your pain.
I see trouble on the way.
Oh, he's obviously left and rejoined. He's on server mute. Sorry, Acumvirus. Go ahead.
Yeah, be on me. It's okay. I want to ask you, John, how do you figure angles aren't natural?
Angle.
Hear the question,
How
QE.
do I figure angles are not natural? Show me a natural angle.
How are angles not natural? That's my question.
Oh, how are angles natural? That's my question.
Answer it. What's an
Because they
angle?
appear in in nature.
Can you show us
What's an
one?
So how are they not natural?
Can you show us a natural angle, please?
What is an angle? Just tell me what is an angle.
Okay, like for instance, the perfect way to throw an object would usually be around a 45-degree angle.
Right. So what is an angle? Define an angle.
You're
Let's
so
see,
screwed.
definition of an angle.
It's a way of describing something, isn't it?
Just
Yeah,
define an
I would
angle.
figure
Just the
so.
guy
It's
that's
a way
asking
of
the question.
describing a
Just define
relationship of
angle. Come
your
on.
view of something related to something else.
That's not a definition of an angle.
That's not showing us.
What's the
either.
definition of an angle?
We're asking you to show us one. You're saying how is an angle not natural, and we're saying, oh,
Yeah,
right, well,
that's my question. Don't
I know. I'm
answer
summarising.
the question. I really want to know.
I realise.
Why does he say that angles aren't natural? That's all I want to know. I'm not
I
trying
understand. I was summarising your
that, so I
point,
wanna know
but now you
how.
won't seem to shut up. You think that now you run the show. Yes, I was summarising your point. You're asking why angles are not natural, and our response is,
Correct.
please, can you show us a natural angle? Not describe what they are. Show us one. Can you do that?
Somebody just asked for the definition.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, you know
like
what?
a definition of an angle.
This ain't cool. All right.
Yeah, first define it, and in defining it, we were hoping you would realise that this isn't something you're going to be showing us out in nature now, but that hasn't managed to sink in yet.
Y'all just don't want to answer my question. It's okay.
We've
want
answered your
definition.
question by pointing out that you're never going to show us anything that would justify it being natural, because it's not. It's a description of something. And then you tried to describe it when we asked you to show it. Admittedly, you'd been asked to define it, but we thought by asking you to define it, in so doing, you would appreciate that it's not something you're just going to produce and put up on screen as something natural. It's a description of something.
And it's moron to ask us to show the non-existence of something.
Right. Anyway, let's go around the panel. So, Ballbusters assemble. We'll start with Paula.
Yeah, what I don't think they were understanding is that nature doesn't say straight up is 90 degrees. I mean, nature doesn't mark things in degrees. So
That's what I was hoping he'd say. I was hoping he'd say it's a measurement in degrees, and then I'd say, well, what's a degree? And then he'd say, hopefully something like an arbitrary number that we've assigned to a certain unit or an integer or whatever. But ultimately, it's a scale. It's an arbitrary scale that we've given to something that helps us get through day-to-day life. But the question is, how is it not natural? And the answer, of course, is, well, we've created it. So how is it natural? Sorry, how is it not natural? Bollocks. How is it natural?
How can
it's
you
just like north, west, east, south. Those are directions we name, but nature doesn't say this way is north, this way is south. Nature doesn't say any of that.
No.
Yeah, well juxtaposed. So it's about as natural as north.
There you go.
So in that context, would you accept that we've answered your question?
Yeah, that answered it. I appreciate you. That's all I wanted was an answer. I appreciate it.
Thank you. That was a pleasant discourse. Amazing. Arwen, anything to add? And then we'll go to chocolate.
No, not really.
Fair enough. Chocolate.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. Happy to move on if you're ready, QE.
Well, that was quick. We ready to roll?
Yeah, I'm surprised too. I'm as surprised as you are. Yes, we are. I've got you up.
All right. The next Trainwreck 2015 argument, still making the circuit. The sun doesn't change angular size throughout the day, right? So,
who's eating crisps? Put the Doritos away. Put the Doritos down.
And slowly back away.
Back away from the Doritos and put yourselves on mute.
All right, we good?
I think we're okay. Carry on.
All right. Like I said, angular size means apparent size. Apparent in our context means not actual. According to your fairy tale narrative, the sun's position is also apparent. So, you guys haven't really thought this through. The retard's actual query is, why does the not actual size, that is angular size of the sun, not decrease its not actual size as it moves from its not actual position? This is their actual question, but they don't realize it, right? They just parrot it. Oh, the sun doesn't change angular size, right? You don't realize that this is the actual question that you're asking, man. Every time I hear it, I just snicker to myself. We expose it on the show all the time. So, number 2, false equivalence fallacy. Is there a difference between terrestrial observations and celestial observations when considering angular, apparent, not real size and position? You think? 3, this entire fiasco, again, is another affirming the consequent formological fallacy. If P, then Q, Q, therefore P, here it is. If the sun is 93 million miles away, or a great distance, or whatever, from the Earth, P, then the angular size of the sun will remain the same throughout the day, Q. We observe the angular size of the sun remaining the same, Q. Therefore, the sun is 93 million miles away, therefore P. You guys really realize that this is what you're actually saying, right? I don't think you do, because you've been saying it for about 3 years now. You're still not getting it. I'll hear it probably Monday or Tuesday. Same old nonsense. Stop clumsily circle jerking us around with your mindlessly parroted second-grade playground fallacy fantasies and prove the sun is 93 million miles away first. You daft muppets. Oh, by the way, if you YouTube Chris Van Maitre, does the sun change size? That's the title. The apparent sun does change its size throughout the day and the year. I don't really care because it doesn't make any difference, but it's just, you need to go here and check this out. And yes, he uses solar filters. Clowns. All right, that's it. Questions, comments?
I was just going to say, I had somebody do that on the show the other day, and I summarised the affirming the consequent formological fallacy, and as I was summarising it, the guy in the background was going, yeah, it's exactly, while I'm, formalising it into the fallacy itself and explaining that it's a fallacy. He's like, yeah. It was comic. It was brilliant. Arwin, do you want to go first?
No.
We won't hear from Arwin. There's some very serious news about Arwin while he's away from the mic. You may not get to hear this. But once this live broadcast is over, if you're in the live audience on Quantum Eraser, be sure to tune into Ranty Flat Earth, as he's got some news in that regard. So you might want to tune in. It's gossip, but you'll enjoy it. If you're enjoying Arwin, go and subscribe today. But as he's disappeared, maybe Sleeping Warrior. Do you want to go next?
How many Doritos you got left?
Again, sorry.
Let me formulate my words. I was thinking about how to word this because I don't want to mix it all up. But
that was
the sun's in a...
Thank you, Anthony. Over to Paula. I'm only joking.
Yeah.
Just about to stab you in the face then with a metaphorical compass. So not physical sun, right? Not known distance, not known position, not known effects on the atmosphere, The fact that it slows down as it gets towards the horizon as well, and that distorts its all shape out of all hell and back. What are we even looking at with the sun? The claim is that the sun doesn't change its apparent size. We don't even know what the sun does, because when you go up in high altitude balloon and look at the sun from a high altitude balloon footage, it doesn't look like the sun. It looks like a pinprick in the night sky, and we see it like a big yellow ball. It's not how it looks like when you go up high. Same for the moon. It looks like a pinprick. So it's like, what are we actually talking about with the sun? So forget the claim that they make. Demonstrate what the sun is. Demonstrate that it is physical, that it is actual, like, something that we can actually do something with, because otherwise it's just, I don't know, it's an optical phenomena. That's the way I would describe it, and he's right.
Paula?
Yeah, I did a video some years ago. I think it's 2 years now, watching the sun. I'd been tracking it all summer, and as far as its four motions go, it's impossible for a physical object to do what it appears to be doing. So apparent anything, position or size, doesn't prove anything actual. So it's just, all it takes is observation. That's what the first step of the scientific method is, and that's all I did, and said, okay, now that we've observed the sun has four motions and some of them are physically impossible, what do you want to do with that? That's where I leave it, because people can't even get past that one point, that this is an observation gives you results that are not physically possible. And then the next step would be to go and try to prove what's physically happening, which is pretty hard to do with something we can't reach and don't have any way of getting outside of the lens we're looking through, which is the atmosphere and all sorts of ever-changing conditions. I mean, it's pointless to try to even triangulate the thing, but, even the heat from the sun can come and go as far as, how much, is there shade, is there wind, too many variables, and you just can't triangulate a position with too many variables. And that's just standard science.
Chocolate, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'll say that I always love the argument of something that we don't actually know what it is, and asking why does it change or not change its not actual size during the course of its not actual position during the course of the day. I mean, to me, it's just funny. And then it actually does, so that makes it even funnier. And then you have things where the sun, I mean, there's videos out there where you can see the sun turning into a little tiny dot and then disappearing. And then people like DITRH who have, videos of it just fading out without even going, under the horizon like they think it's supposed to happen. It's like, so what are we talking about? Like Riley said, what are we,
What is the phenomenon we call the sun? What is it? Is it real? Is it tangible? Can we touch it? Is it a focal point of light? That's the way I see it. It looks like a focal point of light. It looks like we're the ant looking up on the underside of the magnifying glass that's receiving a focal point of light, and we're getting burnt underneath it, just like the ant does. We've all done that as kids, right? That's how I see it.
Owen, you got stuff to add?
Well, yeah, you could compare. I like to compare it like looking into fiberglass, active fiberglass, the high-speed internet. It's just, you get blinded by looking straight down the line of the light. And that's just how it seems to me. So I think that the sun, what we see, is a side effect. And going on that train of thought, I think that everything else, the moon including, and even the weird planet sightings, how they look through telescopes, that it all does the same thing. It's all a unique property of looking directly towards the direction from where that light is coming from.
Let me just make comments about a bigger claim that the ballers are making at the minute that I've heard recently, and they say, explain a lunar eclipse on your model. They do that as though it's like this massive gotcha, right? And to them, it obviously seems that way. And it's like, okay, so what's the explanation for the lunar eclipse on our model? I think most people can say, well, we're not really sure because we don't have a model anyway. So we have the creative license to basically fantasize over what it could be. We don't really know what it is, right? But have a look at Raphael's Ephemeris. It's a publication every single year. And on the front page of every single publication, it talks about another celestial body that's not part of the heliocentric model. I don't know what it actually is. I've tried finding information out about it, but it's called the Black Moon. That would be the cause on our model for, or I would say, is a logical explanation for something that I can't even describe because there's no I haven't found any information on it. But there is another celestial body up there called the Black Moon. Whatever it is, how it interacts, I don't know. But it's documented every single year in Raphael's Ephemeris. That is a logical explanation for what causes the lunar eclipse on our model.
A trap.
I'm sick of this.
Into the trap I spoke about above.
So I will pass back to you, QE, before we move on about this particular point, and then we'll go to Discord, and then we'll move on with the presentation. But I just want to point something out, and I'd hope I'll phrase my words carefully, Paula, so it doesn't seem like I'm attacking you. But basically, you're my patsy. So when Paula described her observations of the sun, I'm just gonna have to clear my throat. When she described her observations of the sun, she said, "Well, I performed the first step of the scientific method." So we've immediately got Paula verbally alluding to science, right? Now that's my attack on their side. When astrophysicists use what we are now discussing, we're all theorizing in the colloquial sense of the word about what it might be. And, you know, we've got all sorts of good ideas about it being the end of a fibre optic cable and the channel of light coming down some sort of conduit from Arwen. And we've got old past observations that people have documented being brought up by Anthony and Paula's own observations herself, which is where I'm going to stay, about when Paula phrased it, it was about, like I say, she's got the first step, observe a phenomena, and Anthony asked, well, you know, what's the phenomena of the sun? Well, you've answered your own question. The phenomena is the sun. That is the phenomena. But what else have we got? We've loosely started to allude to science here. So what is science and what's its relation to this, and what's the branch that deals with it in modern society? Well, astrophysicists are the ones who are going to be looking at it, and they're going to be doing what Paula's done. Having a little look, observing a phenomena. Might be a black hole through their telescope. That's what they've named it with their astronaming. That's their real name tag, naming things they see. But they're going to claim that they've got some sort of scientific validity. So have they actually done anything beyond step one of the scientific method when they look at the lights in the sky and track their paths and note their movements and get a good handle on how their cycles function? Well, no, they've only got step one, observation of phenomena, like the sun. Well, there's a phenomena. What would be the next step if you're going to apply any sort of scientific validity to assertions that you're going to make thereafter? Well, then you'd need to start... Go on, Chocolate.
Hypothesis.
Right, you'd formulate hypothesis. What's causing that effect? And what's the effect? The sun. That's going to be our effect in this instance. We're sciencing now, ladies and gentlemen. Yay, we've got a phenomena. Hooray! We've got half of a hypothesis already. We've got an observed phenomena.
Which will be your dependent variable.
Yeah.
Right. We've got a dependent variable up there. Isn't that amazing? Doesn't this all sound sciencey? Aren't we doing well? Maybe we should stop here and just start declaring that it's an optical fibre. No, we won't. We're gonna look for the other half. That other half, that critical bit of a scientific prediction known as a hypothesis. And what's that? Well, it's the independent variable, isn't it now? Our presumed cause of the effect. The effect being the sun, or Venus, or Mars, or a constellation. That's going to be our phenomena that we're observing, and we're going to figure out the cause. And then, once we've decided what's caused it, we're going to vary and manipulate that, and we're going to cause the sun. Oh no, we're not going to do that, are we? Shit. Maybe we should just make up a few stories about this stuff and then maybe apply some mathematics and say we're scientists, given that we can't go any further than half a hypothesis and observation of phenomena. Maybe we should make a whole branch and have universities dedicated to teaching people about what we spew about what those lights in the sky are with absolutely zero scientific validity whatsoever. Now, this is what we're fighting against. Men who have cameras and Hollywood production style methods of telling you what they say the lights in the sky are and the region that they're in, and astrophysicists who will observe and declare. This isn't science, this is pseudoscience, and that's what our world's based on. The stories of pseudoscientists and their observation of phenomena only. That's it. So while it should slightly sound like I'm throwing Paula under the bus because I'm using the way she did it, I know it wasn't intentionally in any way nefarious from Paula, but just by her phraseology, if you're a cursory listener and you hear Paula say, well, I've gone through step 1 of the scientific method, to a cursory listener, it's like, oh, right, she's sciencing then. No. And that's the problem, because that's what astrophysicists also do. Sorry, Paula.
Oh, no problem. Because the point being that I carefully said that's where I stopped. I did something that has to be the first step. I didn't say I'm doing a scientific experiment or providing a scientific proof. I just said I observed, and that's all I did. And that's all anyone could say about if they see things. It's just an observation. That's it.
No,
I'll give a shout out to a particular girl that I met in Liverpool recently who said that you don't even have to observe a natural phenomena to do science. And I was like, oh, really? So how are you going to get your dependent variable? Anyway, this conversation went on somewhat, and it became apparent to me that she didn't know what the presumed cause was, right? She had a degree in quantum mechanics and a post in, what was it now? Chemistry. And I asked her what was the definition for the independent variable. And she said, I said, it's the presumed cause, right? And she wouldn't agree. And she actually corrected me and she said, no, the presumed cause is the dependent variable. Now, this is a girl that's studying or has studied quantum mechanics at degree level and chemistry at post. She's done chemistry at postgraduate level and she doesn't know what an independent variable is. So what are we doing with these balls?
Right, Anthony, you're going to get rumpus because I can just hear Quantum Eraser choking on food as you're saying this. You're going to have to give him a gap to get in and say something at this stage. I'm sorry.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
That's what it was. Honest to God, it was embarrassing, but shout out to that girl who thought that the independent variable, the presumed cause in an experiment, was
I'm sorry, Anthony.
variable.
I'm sorry. I thought we'd get more than just him coughing and saying bullshit. So we discussed this on the pre-show. At that point, she exposed herself as a pretender clown.
Yes. It was over everything she said before. The presumed cause of the dependent variable and everything that came out of her pie hole after is nonsense. I would have just walked away. I know Anthony couldn't do that because he wanted to take her through the friggin' grinding mill. But to me, everything was a joke after that, right? It was all academic.
Yeah. But don't forget who my target audience is. I mean, all the time and effort we put into the debate show to learn how to dismantle these arguments, I realised that was 2 hours of my life wasted talking to those morons who probably won't think twice about laughing at me when they walk off. But the reality is, they were dismantled, and we can dismantle them by applying scientific method. Because if it's not complying with scientific method, by definition, it's pseudoscience. And if you want to believe in pseudoscience, that's up to you. But if you're going to come and preach that verbal diarrhea to us in the shape of the Earth context, it's absolutely up to us to challenge it, question it, and dismantle it piece by piece. What's your observed phenomena? What's your independent variable? What's your dependent variable? How did you demonstrate cause and effect? And they can't do it because anything outside the Earth is just nonsense.
I want to say the mics are open in Discord. Make sure that anybody who's just joined has got their mic free. Looks like everybody has.
Hey, are you gonna not let me punk Anthony out?
Well, you took your opportunity to just cough and go bullshit. But yeah, if you want, but you might get interrupted by someone on Discord. Feel free to. I just want to, just before you do, the subject in regards to Discord, we're talking about why does the not actual size of the sun not change its not actual size as it moves from its not actual position. Maybe we'll just get that back on the rails. I know that there's a bit of scientific method being talked because we noted things that are in the sky and how science is applied, but that was kind of how we started. I'm hoping that we'll get some opinions from Discord. Go ahead, QE.
My word. 20 minutes later, I popped up. I just want to, just very brief and concise. Anthony said that Do you hear one of the arguments now on the circuit is they're asking us to explain a lunar eclipse? Well, didn't we just go over that with my first point about not explaining their claims to them? I don't know. I don't remember making a claim about a lunar eclipse, so why do I have to explain it to you? Right? That's all I had.
It's because we have a deep fascination with it ourselves. We want answers by our very nature. When things that were formerly explained are no longer explained, we look to others who have taken it away for the answers. You know, me, I just laugh. I just normally describe something quite disgusting in a toilet function in regards to what I'm doing to their religion and then move on laughing because it's not my responsibility. I can just pull apart the rhetoric and how it doesn't work. There's only a necessity for me to pull apart the claims that are made in their regard. And what QE is saying to Sleeping Warrior is don't fall into the trap of explaining their claims for you. So the example on the debate was a guy the other day who came in and said his example was tectonic plates as his proof of being on a sphere, and his only actual claim was to ask us how it's explained on a flat Earth. So when you get into pulling apart what they're actually claiming, it's a very strong phraseology or wording when you say, what actually is your claim? Oh, right, the lunar eclipse. What's your actual claim? And let them go through how they use their model and assume the outcome and all that stuff. Let them get it all off their chest and then just point out how it proves nothing, how they're wrong, how they've affirmed the consequent or begged the question, or most of the time both. Anybody on Discord got anything to add in this regards? Anybody feel the sun is an excellent proof of something heliocentric? Or maybe you got any questions in regards to some of the presentation thus far? Anybody at all? Travis, I can see you flashing. Maybe I haven't got you off server mute if you've just come in. Yes.
No, I had a question for Riley. How did you come up with this black moon thing that you was talking about?
I didn't come up with it. It's documented in every year. There's an annual called Raphael's Ephemeris. You can buy it on Amazon. It's about £9 or $12 a year. And on the front page, it documents this black moon called Lilith. Now, I don't know about you, but when I see the lunar eclipse, it does look like a black object might be passing in front of it. They tell us it's the Earth's shadow, but they can't prove that it's the Earth's shadow. But they tell us it is because it kind of does look like it. But you can equally interpret that also might be a black celestial body moving in front of it too. And we know that the distances involved are questionable. We know that shadows can't be cast of a smaller size than what they actually are, the body that's casting it. And it just makes logical sense that another celestial body might be causing that phenomena that we see. And there is another celestial body up there called the Black Moon, and it's documented every year. I don't know what it is, but it is there. They know about it, and they can track it. So, I don't know. Look into it. I don't know what to say about it other than it is documented.
Okay, that's interesting. I appreciate your answer.
Did you have something you wanted to add, Travis? I saw you flashing, but I hadn't got you off server mute quick enough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I just tried to say that there was a couple globers in here, and yeah, Lilith. I've heard Arwen discuss Lilith as well here and there. Pretty interesting. I'll have to check into that too. Also, I missed the first half of the show, but a lot of the things that we run into in the Discord chats and server chats and stuff are in big regards to the distance of objects, right? You're talking about Venus, you're talking about the sun. And I recall QE having a citation somewhere. It was in one of the presentations. I believe it was like Big Bang or something, but it was in regards to the triangulation, you know, when they have like 3 points or 2 points that are, you know, a certain distance away from each other, and then they're using those 2 points and with the angle, they're able to establish where they think the third point is. And there was a citation, sorry to run on about this, but there's a citation QE gave from some gentleman basically stating that if your points that you're triangulating from are way out of you know, if you got like one that's like a presumed a couple thousand miles, and then you're shooting at one, or you're trying to check one that's, you're saying is, a couple light years away. It's not accurate. Does anybody remember that?
I think I was talking about trigonometric parallax, where they're assuming a spherical trig, because you got a couple types of trig here. You got spherical and planar, right? That was the big one where I exposed that one clown on Discord.
Yeah, and you had a citation basically saying that, if your scale, that's what I was trying to think of the word scale. If your scale is way out, then it's not going to be accurate. And that's what the Glovers absolutely, that's the foundation right there of their celestial observations.
Yeah, they also use redshift for distance, but I clobbered that about 2.5 years ago. I think I'm going to do a new presentation on that coming up, maybe in October. I'm going to run the old one and then probably do another one in October. So stay tuned to Quantum Eraser channel. Be here, be sphere.
Is there anything else anybody from Discord wanted to add on this subject?
Thanks for taking my question.
Go ahead, whoever that was.
He said thanks for taking his question, Nathan.
Oh, right. Yeah, no worries. Can we move on?
Yes, sir. Tell me when it's up.
Yep, you're up.
So this disheveled monkey, the Earth's rotating slower than your hour hand on your clock, right? Now, I dedicated this to Mr. Natural Experiment Burns humping Jim Panda, but I shouldn't leave it at his doorstep. This was going on long before he arrived on the scene and gets parroted incessantly by friggin' crayon munchers. And it was brought up this very week on the show. So, listen, we're dealing with apples and friggin' orangutans here. RPMs versus speed, people. You don't measure speed or rate by angular velocity, that is revolutions. Next block of instructions, how to say the on Tuesdays. It's all in the units of measures, folks. Speed, distance per unit time, that's miles per hour or kilometers per hour. And angular velocity is revolutions per unit time. Revolutions per second, per minute, per day, per week, per month, per year, on and on. Distance equals revolutions like gazelle equals hubcap. Right? Just a clumsy, daft, Muppet false equivalence fallacy. Like I said, RPMs are utterly irrelevant and meaningless red herring fallacy to the discussion. We're talking about tangential speed. You don't measure speed or rate by revolutions. All points, this is very important, listen closely. All points on a rotating sphere have the same angular velocity. However, those same points do not have the same rate or speed. The miles per hour, kilometers per hour, the tangential speed. Number one, it's tantamount to exclaiming to Dale Earnhardt Jr. on a 50-mile track, "Why was your car smashed to smithereens, Dale? You were only doing one revolution every 25 minutes. Big clown. Number two, when they report the speed or rate of the cars racing around the Brickyard 400, do they report it in RPMs? How about drag races like quarter mile? Since there are no revolutions, then according to BallTard's crayon munching logic, the dragster's rate or speed has to be 0. When a cop pulls you over for speeding, does he tell you how many RPMs you were going over the RPM limit? This juvenile, mind-numbing absurdity is insulting to actual juvenile, mind-numbing absurdities. Questions, comments?
Oh, just as I was telling somebody to ask us, somebody's apparently posted something in the Discord live stream if anyone wants to have a glance at this. Yeah, where you start with Arwin?
No. Sorry, I'm very distracted today.
That's okay. Chocolate?
No, I'll just say that I find it hilarious when they try to equate the the one revolution of the Earth in one day, like, oh, it's just very slow because it's one revolution a day. Like, no, it's 1,000 miles per hour according to your model. That's not slow. And it's completely different than saying it just goes around once a day. It's ridiculous.
Right, mixing up RPM with MPH. Betty, I was about to say Betty. Betty's not even here. Paula.
Yeah, I always like to use the illustration of the skaters. You know, they go, every skating show you've ever seen, they have to do that thing where they get it all in the line and start rotating the whole line, right? And the people on the inside barely have to move. But the people on the ends of the lines have to skate as fast as they possibly can. So if revolutions don't have any relation to speed at any particular point, then everybody, all the skaters should be able to just stand there and have the thing rotate. But that obviously isn't the case. So I don't know how, you know, with the racetrack or the skaters, how it can be made any more clear. I really don't.
Right. The outside edge of the wheel moves faster than the inside edge of the wheel in miles per hour, but the RPM doesn't change. So these two things are not the same. It's just a clumsy way of saying, no, it's really slow. No, it's claimed to be going at a ludicrous speed. Anyway, Sleeping Warrior?
Ludicrous speed.
No, I'm good. I'm sidetracked at the minute.
Is everyone in the chat by chance?
You too?
Chocolate, did we get anything from you? Not Discord server?
Are the Doritos that good?
Doritos.
Well, I could add something a little.
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe in retrospect about the focal pendulum, right? Yeah, the whole idea that there's supposed to be some kind of deviation.
That's the next topic.
Oh, sorry. I am really...
At least you're on the ball, Arwen. You're obviously, you know, great minds and all that. The mics are open in Discord if you want to add anything. Joe B, is it flashing? Share your pain. No takers. I think we're going to move on pretty swiftly. Go ahead.
Take her for what? What?
You've not been keeping up. Oh my god, they're asking me to answer something. It's okay, don't worry. If you've got nothing to add, it's okay.
Too funny. Wait for the after show.
Okay. Right, let's stick you back on screen and we'll move on.
Tell me when it's up.
Hold that thought, by the way, Arwen. Right, yes, you're up on screen, QE.
All right, I couldn't let this go without the Foucault pendulum, right? So this is from plusmass.org. So listen to what they say. Once you set one in motion, its direction of swing will rotate at a rate of about 0.2 degrees every minute. But in fact, it isn't really the pendulum that's rotating. The pendulum is swinging back and forth in exactly the same direction. It's the Earth, which is rotating underneath the pendulum, which makes it appear that the pendulum is in fact changing directions. Well, folks, if this nonsensical buffoonery is true, then why couldn't we just hover in a helicopter in North Carolina for 3 hours and catch a Dodger game? See the connection? If this is true, right? If that's true, then this must logically follow.
Say it slower. Just say it slower. You said it. I know it's the most important line. You just had it highlighted. Just say it slower once more.
Which one?
This is true. Then we could just hover in a helicopter. Yeah, you say it. I want you.
Okay. Yeah. Again, if this is true up here, right? Then why couldn't we just hover in a helicopter in North Carolina for 3 hours and catch a Dodger game? This is, like I said, if this is true, then this logically follows. It's just that simple. If the Foucault pendulum is legit, which denotes two separate reference frames, right? We already identified the two separate reference frames, correct? The pendulum is swinging back and forth, and it's the Earth rotating underneath it. So it's got to be two separate reference frames. Then a flight from Charlotte, North Carolina to Los Angeles nonstop, traveling at 500 miles per hour airspeed, with both locations roughly the 35th degree north latitude. That is both allegedly spinning at 860 miles per hour. It should be 1.5 hours, but the flight time is 4.5 hours. Airspeed 500 miles an hour, ground speed 500 miles an hour. Plus, you have to take the 860 mile per hour rotation speed. You're flying west. The Earth is spinning from west to east. It's coming at you at 860 miles an hour ground speed. You have to add your airspeed, 500 miles an hour. This is too simple. So you total that, it's 1,360 miles an hour. Too easy. Distance between Charlotte, North Carolina and LAX is 2,115 miles. The flight time must be 1.5 hours. Actual flight time, it's approximately 4.5 hours. Now, does this 1.5 hour flight time ever happen? That's the question you have to ask yourself. Does it ever happen? Nope. Then say bye-bye now to your spinning space monkey religion. It's just that simple. Questions, comments?
No, it never happens. No, Earth isn't rotating underneath. No, the claim of gyroscopes and pendulums proving we have two reference frames with Earth rotating underneath is totally bunk. Because if it was, then a helicopter could just hover and, oh no, it's coming right for us, the continent that we want to travel to. No, that doesn't happen. Drones can hover, helicopters can hover, and planes do not take 1.5 hours when travelling from Charlotte to North Carolina to LA with the Earth rotating underneath, because it doesn't.
Right. And those are actually objects that aren't fixed.
Sorry, go on, Owen.
Shout out to the Pontiff Maximus, who says that QE still doesn't understand relative velocities.
Shout out retracted.
Thank you.
Right. If I may make my point now about the whole Foucault pendulum. Stop swinging the chat around. QE. So, yeah. With the airplanes and the helicopter, it's much more apparent that, they should have some kind of deviation if there were to be Coriolis, because the air was not moving with the rotation of the Earth, all that. But with the pendulum, it's literally fixed to the Earth, the entire thing. So if they then presume that in that situation, in a fixed to the Earth situation, there would be an influence because of the spin, that would mean that if that could be visible somehow, that there would be a force somehow in some way introduced to a normal stationary trajectory from the pendulum. So what is the deviation that's actually persistent there? Because there is none. There never is. It never pushes irregularly to one way. It just goes around and around and around exactly as it was introduced, as it was let go.
Yeah,
and it'll follow that pattern very stably. No persistent deviation in any singular direction or
trying to make
of
a
any
slight
kind.
correction, Owen. You're correct, because you're summarising how they get it to spin around. But that's not what it's claimed to be doing. It's claimed to be swinging back and forth in a straight line. A pendulum, right? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But because the Earth's rotating underneath, you see the apparent deviation in the pendulum, and it knocks over the dominoes. So while you're saying no, it only swings around because of the way they let go, yes, exactly, this nonsense claim of two reference frames with a pendulum, half the time they let it go, and the problem is it does just swing back and forth. So they have to get it back to the starting point and re-release it to get it to swing around and around, showing this claim to be apparent deviation of Earth rotating underneath. But the point of the demonstration is that it's not supposed to be swinging around. What you're observing is an apparent deviation. It's apparently swinging around because it's actually a pendulum just going back and forth with the Earth rotating underneath.
Well, it would be part of the Earth since it would be fixed to the Earth. So it wouldn't technically even be able to rotate underneath. But there's claimed to be some kind of influence.
On top of being fixed to the Earth, though, doesn't it have to be started to even start moving? I mean, what is it supposed to be proving at that point?
Well, you know what I think it really is doing? What they really mean to do with it is to make people imagine the separate reference frame of the Earth spinning underneath. That it's more in practice to visualize this rather than actually make a physical point.
Right, well done, Arwen, because I thought you were going to go off into the weeds about what the pendulum does or how it works, which is irrelevant. If the pendulum is claimed to show that the Earth's rotating underneath, and it absolutely is, that's the point of it, then the Earth is spinning underneath the planes from Charlotte, North Carolina to LA, and they'd take an hour and a half.
The helicopters, the football, the bullets, everything. It would have to work underneath everything, just like that. Can't pick and choose what it's going to rotate underneath or not. That's nonsense.
Sleeping Warrior?
I'm sorry, I'm still sidetracked if I'm honest.
That's okay. Paula?
No, not really. It's just we've gone over that many times, on other BallBusters about all of those things. I can't think of anything else to say about it.
Fair enough. Anybody in Discord got anything to add?
I got an addendum.
Hold on, Owen. Hold on. Anybody? Joby?
George Natnuke sure has a lot to say from chat. Encouraged to join.
Yep.
Well, listen, the clown's already been toe tagged a number of times. George, the dog is smarter than you, okay?
Other than pointing out the rumblings from the peanut gallery, is there anything in regards to the assertions that have just been made in the presentation from Discord? Alrighty then. Is there any more for any more? Presumably that's not the end of the presentation, right?
Can I make my point?
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, sorry, my bad, Arwen. Yes, go ahead.
Right, I just wanted to add up on...
Arwen, I'm just letting you know I'm on mute.
I'm on mute too.
Good for you. Yeah. Very, very funny.
I'm on mute.
The whole system of what it's supposed to be doing, and you're already basically stating, okay, the pendulum is not doing anything. Well, maybe the whole pendulum and what it always tends to look like, which is a huge ball hanging by some wire. Well, maybe the practice really is more about just trying to visualize that ball hanging inside some kind of space, rather than make an actual physical point.
I understand.
Maybe that's really what the core of the entire thing is, primarily. So, yeah.
Okay, I've got your presentation back up.
All right, we're ready to go for this one. This is going to be a short one. I wanted to take a break here for a second before I get to a couple ones I'm really stoked about, man. But this is a pretty good one. Let's check this out. So everyone's seen the Neil deGrasse Tyson, Smoking deGrasse Tyson, talking about the Felix Baumgartner 128,000 feet jump. I think everyone pretty much now has seen that video. I'm not going to play it because they got the copyright strike bug out. I'm going to wait till that cools down. But I know everyone's pretty much seen it. So there's no observable curvature at 128,000 feet. Yet you bozos claim there is observable curvature standing on the ground. Can you explain that one to us? It doesn't make any damn sense. It's one of the more belly-laughing, slap-in-the-face contradictions out there. I mean, is your clinical level Dunning-Kruger so virulent that you think even people that have trouble fogging a mirror don't see or recognize this? You clowns feebly try to. Then this is what they do. If you bring up Neil deGrasse or Smoking deGrasse Tyson around them, they throw him right under the bus now, man. It cracks me up when they try to distance themselves from the astrophysicist Smoking deGrasse Tyson. He's unquestionably and unequivocally a spokesman and priest a scientist to you clowns for your BallTard spinning space monkey religion. So no throwing them under the bus. Okay. Quick comments on this one, then we'll move to the couple juggernauts below.
Yeah, shout out to Red Pill Philosophy, who actually mirrored Sleeping Warrior's little discourse that we talked about earlier. But he uses that little snippet. That stuff is flat. We start with Paula?
Yeah, it's funny how they do throw him under the bus, or anybody else they would throw under if they become an embarrassment, which, I don't know, I think happened a long time ago, but that's what they do. That's what, it's just a human thing to do. There's no, we can't, be embarrassed by someone whose argument has obviously been debunked, or claims, I shouldn't say argument. So they'll just go on to the next white, priest in white lab coats, and that's what people do. But other than that, nope, not really anything to add.
Chocolate, I heard you make some rumblings just at the start there. Do you want to go next?
Nah, I love it. I love how the ballers have now thrown Neil Smoking the Grass under the bus. I mean, they don't like the things that he says because he's going against their very model, the very things that they say. I mean, sure, he thinks we live on a ball. That's fine, but I mean, the guy says 128,000 feet. You can't see any curvature. So how are we seeing boats disappear 3 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles? Like, it's ridiculous. And they just throw him under the bus. Like, he's not one of their priests, their scientists who's out here touting this mainstream science to everybody. And they just come in here and say, oh, he's a joke. Well, he's the guy out there spouting your religion. So maybe you should take up your arguments with him.
Armin?
This is news to me that everybody's supposedly throwing him under the bus, but yeah, I don't know. He's just one of these storytellers, and I guess that the media deals with them like they deal with things politically typically, and just say, oh yeah, he's what we need. He tells a good story, and yeah, he'll tell it right until something messes up, and then just put it in the background. And I don't know. I think on the long run, they'll not really matter that much. They're just media puppets.
Sleeping Warrior, got anything to add?
Great though, is that he'll say things like.
No, go on, Chocolate.
No, like I think about when they asked him, what's gravity, and he was like, we don't know. Next question. Things like that. Then you have George Mooser being asked, by Fight the Flat Earth, so we don't know the cause of gravity. Oh, no, we don't know the cause. So these guys who are in the quote unquote scientific community, these guys are supposed to know all this stuff, and they say they don't know. But then we get guys who come in here and tell us that, gravity is this, gravity is that. It's still a force because I don't understand bending of space-time. It is a force. It's not a force. It's like, guys, are you guys not all on the same page? Rumpus telling people, oh, we have to stop the physicists from telling people that gravity is not a force. Like, it's all a big mess as far as I'm concerned when I look at their arguments, especially for gravity, Coriolis. Like, it's nonsense.
Oh, I do want to address what Arwen said a minute ago, how he doesn't appreciate why they'd throw him under the bus. But before I do, Sleeping Warrior, have you got anything to add?
Shout out to Red Pill Philosophy for mirroring the video. If you haven't checked it out, check it out on Jason of the Disbury Family on my channel and on Red Pill Philosophy channel, and just go and put a like on it because it's definitely getting a lot of views, that one, because it's an instant classic, and that's what I was sidetracked with. I was looking at all the new subs and the new comments on both videos. Really, really good video. So, when Rumpus says about we need to get physicists to stop mentioning that gravity is not a force, just type in Google, is gravity a force? And look at how many citations you can find where all of them say gravity is not a force. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is that it's not a force. And in the context of the atmosphere sticking to the Earth rather than bursting into the void of space, they really need something, right? Even though the gravitational force wouldn't stop it anyway, they need something in their minds to satisfy themselves, because this is where it's going to be lost. This is where most ballers should say, yeah, what is stopping the atmosphere from bursting into space? And there isn't anything. So even if it was there, it wasn't going to stop it anyway. But the fact that it's not there should be enough for them to go, hey, maybe there is something to this point. All the protagonists on their side really won't do, but just bear in mind it's a killer.
So we will get some comments from Discord in a moment, but yeah, obviously, Arwin, with people like Red Pill Philosophy using that quote, well, the end part of the quote that Quantum Eraser used about it being flat from the highest of altitudes, and us using Neil deGrasse Tyson to explain how Coriolis is claimed by the globe side to prove Earth is spinning underneath. The spinning underneath bit is the proof that it's spinning, and that's what Neil deGrasse Tyson would assert when he says a field goal went in because Earth spun underneath in a tweet that he sent. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing for speed. But yeah, it's pretty easy to recognise why you would want to throw someone under the bus if you're somebody who's asserting that Earth and atmosphere travel as one, and Neil deGrasse Tyson's making it plain that it doesn't, because that's the thing that's actually used to prove it's spinning. They're going against it in their double-speak rhetoric and have to throw him under the bus in doing so.
Right, so technically, if you really look at the bigger picture, then Neil deGrasse Tyson is actually being more careful on the long run than the over-enthusiastic shameless ballers currently.
Well,
Go anywhere, any level of doublespeak in your face.
Well, he's quoting the correct rhetoric. They've got to fly against it because it obviously doesn't demonstrate that in the reality of the world we actually live in. It can be claimed with a very short hang time of a football or a bullet, and no one's going to be able to double check that, right? But then when you take the actual implications of what is required to cause that ball to drift, apparently, from the stands, when observing in the inertial reference frame, well, what's causing that to drift? Well, it's the Earth spinning underneath the ball. And spinning underneath the aeroplane? No, it doesn't do that. But he can get away with it when there's no one there to challenge him, and he can just talk about it with a sympathetic interviewer when it comes up on mainstream TV. But if you're George Netanyahu in the trenches with us, and he's saying, no, it travels as one, well, that's not what Neil deGrasse Tyson's saying, and he's on TV. Surely he's a bigger priest than you, moron, Fundy. Well, no, that's why they've got to throw him under the bus. Sorry, go ahead, Chocolate.
I think we have a ray of light about to shine on us. Shout out to Bob, the fallacy guy, who says he's going to make a video on Coriolis. I guess.
Oh yeah, we look forward to pulling it apart. Why? Saving the effort, man. Why spend 2 or 3 hours editing together a video when we're going to pull it apart in about 15 seconds based on the fallacy you use? Anyway, is there anyone
with one question?
I was going to say, don't bother watching the content of his video. Just count the fallacies.
Mr. on Terrace.
Anybody in Discord got anything to add? We're talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson and having to throw him under the bus if you're a baller because he basically states the actual rhetoric you should be arguing rather than the bullshit doublespeak you do argue. Any comments?
Nope.
I'm asking Discord.
I totally
I'm
agree.
asking Discord.
Right, and my name is not Discord. I get
Definitely not.
Perhaps
it's always so quiet there.
Perhaps you could come up with a method for how it might work on their model, Arwin. This is the time when you can do that, not in the middle of a debate.
Yeah, but I'm not going to do that without getting some serious NASA money for that, okay?
You'll do it in the middle of a debate when we're just trying to kill someone.
I know how to explain this very awkward position you fundies find yourself in now. Ding, 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 I want pain. That's how I know how to explain this problem away. When normally it's a bugger, right? Because it's normally when we've got someone over a barrel / holding their toes to the fire, and Arwen will be there while there's the tense moment going, I can solve this little problem for cold hard cash.
Oh, by the way, at 10 o'clock in 20 minutes from now, we're going to be wrapped up by that point. But Ranty, when he goes live, he's giving away a P900. So if you've not got a P900 and you've wanted one, he's giving one away. I'm not sure what that's all about, but shout out and kudos to Ranty for giving away the camera that was gifted to him from a GoFundMe. Oh no, he didn't get it on that one. He got it on the P1000. But anyway, he's giving one away. So shout outs for that one.
I've just spammed the link to Ranty Flat Earth's channel, so go and check out Ranty Flat Earth's channel. It'll start, hopefully, if we've timed this well, just after this live stream finishes. So I will say at this point, though, if you're watching this on my channel, don't go anywhere, because there's going to be after shows and stuff. But if you're watching live on Quantum Eraser right now, when this finishes, hopefully, if we've timed it well, go to Ranty Flat Earth's channel. Typically, there'd be a debate running, but now there won't be, because Ranty's got big news. So definitely go and check out Ranty Flat Earth, Be Here, or Be Sphere once this live stream is over. So I've left the mic open the whole time for Discord to interrupt any of that with anything they wanted to add, and they haven't. So is there nothing from Discord? If not, we're going to move on with the presentation.
Yeah. I've got something, Nathan.
Go ahead, Paige.
Oh, awesome. Is QE there?
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you, when I started looking at diffraction, is that what you use for your natural observed phenomenon for the double split? Double slit.
It's not the double split, it's the double slit experiment.
I corrected
and
myself.
Diffraction is the observed phenomena, but that's off topic for right now.
Can this hold? Can this hold just till the end of the presentation? We will talk about it. We're not going to fob you off, I promise. But it's just so it's on topic for the presentation. Once it's rounded out, it's free for all.
No worries.
Anybody else got anything on topic regards Smoking deGrasse Tyson?
Really put him under the bus. I don't pay attention to everything he says, but I do like Neil deGrasse Tyson, but I just don't throw him under. I don't think all Globers throw him under the bus. That's all I want to add.
You'd agree with him when he says that a football has gone through the goalposts because Earth rotated underneath. You'd agree with him on that score, would you, Virus?
I do, but his numbers was off. Since he was doing it basically in his head, his numbers was like off a lot.
I didn't ask about the numbers, just the cause that he asserted, i.e. that Earth rotates underneath that football. You'd agree with him on that?
I guess so. I never really put no thought into it that much, but I guess so.
You guess so?
What numbers were off? The Earth rotation numbers? Like he didn't carry the one? Like what? I don't understand.
No, he said something about like 0.5 when it really should have been like 0.15. Once you
the whole point is though, was the Earth actually rotating underneath that football? Whether he carried the one or not, is the Earth rotating under the football?
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh, that's a shame because we.
Oh, it is.
You see, the problem is if Earth rotates underneath the football when it's kicked, it also rotates underneath the drone when it leaves the rotational frame of reference, i.e., the claim to be spinning ball Earth. So a drone, you could just push the upstick and watch it drift, or a flight from Charlotte, North Carolina, could take off with Earth rotating underneath and arrive in LA 1.5 hours later, because to have that effect described by Smoking deGrasse, completely incorrect, definitely not proving Earth spins Tyson, is having the Earth spin underneath the ball and the helicopter and the drone and the plane that doesn't take 1.5 hours to get to LA from Charlotte, North Carolina, Virus. So do you still agree with him?
Whatever you want.
Just asking now.
No, whatever you want.
Just asking now, given that we assert that people would throw him under the bus, given that we've absolutely pummeled that claim by Neil deGrasse Tyson, the true claim, the rhetoric claim, the fundamentalist zealot claim of the globe, do you still agree with him, given that we've just pummeled that?
Whatever you want, Nathan. I mean, I'm fine with that. I'm not making no claims.
I'm asking if you agree with Smoking deGrasse Tyson when he asserts Earth spins underneath the football. Still, even though we pummeled it just 10 seconds ago. You seem hesitant to answer.
That's fine. You okay? I'm not making no claims.
You hesitant to answer. A minute ago, sure. Yeah, sure, I agree with him. Now, I'm not making any claims. Bit more cagey about the whole thing, eh, Virus?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think we can move on. Right, got your presentation back up, QE.
All right. Hey, listen, I'm stoked, man. So the Horse Pucky ISS. I'm gonna take a little mosey down memory lane for my together. I'll tell you what, it was a couple weeks after I entered the flat Earth, and I found it last month. I was just going through my stuff and I found it. So it's really cool. I like it. So see if you can follow. You gotta understand.
Hold on a second. Hold on. Someone's got their mic open. It's clipping you for some reason.
Man.
Maybe Arwin or Anthony. Just pop yourselves on mute if you don't mind.
On mute.
Okay, keep it easy. I'll keep control. It's all good. Take a breath. Count to 5.
I'm always on mute, except when I'm not. Going back on mute.
I'm on mute.
I am on mute as well.
Please continue, QE.
All right. Like I said, the Horse Pucky ISS. This is a little different angle. I want you guys to follow me. So understand something. I got the heliocentric ball on the stand, and I'm the prosecutor. So I'm taking their story. I'm gonna eviscerate it. Okay, but you got to follow along with me. Hopefully, you think that you'll think it's as cool as I think it is. So, and I always like the thermosphere because I like it hot. So from Space Place at NASA, the thermosphere is the home to the International Space Station as it orbits the Earth. We all know this. I just wanted to cite it here just for technical reasons, Judge. From the University of California, the thermosphere is directly above the mesosphere and below the exosphere. It extends from about 90 kilometers, that's 56 miles, to between 500 and 1,000 kilometers. That's 311 to 621 miles above our planet. Okay? Everyone's got those facts at hand. So, the ISS is made out of an aluminum alloy, 2219-T62. Robert Frost, this is from Robert Frost, instructor and flight controller in the Flight Operations Directorate at NASA, Your Honor. The most common material is 2219-T62 aluminum alloy. Most of the ISS structure is aluminum. In fact, the node modules were each made from single blocks of aluminum. So we got those facts, right? Following along. Aluminum 2219-T62 from the matweb.com. Melting temperature is 1,010 degrees to 1,190 degrees Fahrenheit. From NASA, the thermosphere lies between the exosphere and the mesosphere, like I said above. Thermo means heat, and the temperature in this layer can reach up to 4,500 degrees Fahrenheit. Are you seeing the problem yet? It's in fuego, man. Aluminum 2219-T62 melting temperatures, like I said, 1010 to 1190 Fahrenheit. The thermosphere is 4,500 degrees Fahrenheit. See the problem yet? Spinning space monkey parroting clowns? You see, the heat in the thermosphere is due to solar radiation. Yeah, it's cool because there's little or no convection. We know the little parrot story you got due to the sparseness of gas molecules. But the ISS isn't made of gas molecules. It's made out of aluminum. Conduction, anyone? And is getting bombarded by the full spectrum of solar radiation, including X-rays, extreme UV, galactic cosmic rays, aurora particles, and solar protons, all of which we are protected against via the atmosphere from their story. So from the Alma Mater Wiki, thermospheric temperatures increase with altitude due to, this is why the thermosphere is so hot, absorption of highly energetic solar radiation. That's the reason why it's so hot up there. Now, you're not going to feel it because the molecules are spread out. But who really cares? Because we're talking about aluminum. From sciencing.com, the source of the thermosphere's heat is radiation emitted by the sun. The thermosphere absorbs much of the radiation that Earth receives from the sun, leaving only a fraction to actually reach the surface. Ultraviolet radiation, visible light, and high-energy gamma radiation are all absorbed by the thermosphere, which causes the few particles present to heat up considerably, like I was saying. Now, after you corner the crayon munchers with the belly laugher above that we just went through, they invariably bumble, fumble, and stumble with what? But they have shielding and they have reflectors, right? The ISS is powered by solar arrays. They are made from purified silicon. From NASA, Your Honor. Solar arrays that convert energy to electricity on the International Space Station are made out of thousands of solar cells made from purified chunks of the element silicon. These cells directly convert light to electricity using a process called photovoltaics. You guys following me up now? That's purified silicon up there. Remember, we're talking about reflectors, right? And shielding. The silicon melting point is 2577 Fahrenheit. But as we already know, the thermosphere is 4,500 degrees Fahrenheit, right? It can get up to those temperatures. So, Your Honor, any claim of shielding or reflectors is horse-pucky bollocks. Because why? You don't shield solar arrays. Turn out the lights, party's over. They say that all good things must end. Call it a night. Party's over, clowns. This is just all nonsensical, whiskle past the graveyard baloney anyway. Every single one of their claims about space, that is the vacuum of space, is a violation of the second law of thermodynamics. We're just busting low-hanging fruit. Questions, comments?
I'm going to open the mic immediately on Discord rather than getting lost in the weeds in between what you've just said and their reaction. Anybody for anybody. Yeah, you're paying.
Let me ask you something.
Go ahead.
This is Flubber. Hi, good afternoon, good evening.
Hey,
how's everyone doing?
Very well. What's your question?
What's up, man?
So what makes you think that the ISS would actually reach that temperature in the thermosphere?
What makes you think the ISS is actually up there in a medium that can't exist?
No, we're talking about the point that he just presented, not something else. Let's stay on point. He said that the ISS would reach that temperature in the thermosphere.
Presentation clown show. Why do I think? Because the temperatures in the thermosphere reach that amount. Why? Because of solar radiation. I just had 10 citations tell you that. That's why I think it.
No. I understand that. Why do you think the ISS would equilibrate with that temperature of the thermosphere?
Equilibrate because the things that's causing the thermosphere to be so hot for the 10th time is solar radiation. So solar radiation is hitting the ISS. Is this getting through? You're feeling
What angle is it hitting the ISS?
Oh, give me a break with your friggin' angle.
You realise this is the.
Let me ask you
just before you ask something else.
Question.
Sorry, just
Let's
to
say
summarise.
that you're standing outside.
Sorry to interrupt you, but just to summarise that last point, this is your rhetoric. He's explaining what they say it is and how hot it is where they say it is. It's not him claiming that's what's actually happening. You realise
No,
that?
he's reaching a conclusion from that information that I think is incorrect. I'm trying to illustrate that.
Really? Please tell us how. The water.
Yeah, sure. Let me give you an analogy.
Fahrenheit. You're in the water. You're saying that you don't reach 4,500 degrees Fahrenheit. That's what you're saying. Please explain that to us.
Sure. I'll explain it to you. So imagine that you're standing outside and it's a nice day. It's 70 degrees and there's just a gentle breeze. And you take a little BB, small, and you put it in the fire. And you take it out of the fire and you put it on your hand. Is your whole hand going to reach the temperature of the BB?
False equivalence fallacy. The BB is going to be 4,500, right? And the ISS isn't a friggin' BB, you clown.
No, not in my analogy. In my analogy, the BB is the thermosphere.
I'm not putting the ISS in my hand. Where are you, some type of retard or something?
And there are supposed to be people in
why
that
is this hard to
BB
understand?
in space. So yeah.
Reach that temperature.
Because that's what the rhetoric says the temperature is. What do you want?
That's what the temperature of the gas is, but that's not the only temperature it's connected to thermodynamically.
Right, Al.
Thermodynamically, get the fuck. Have you got an argument?
Yeah, you talked about second law of thermodynamics, right? So
That's
do you know the
right.
other laws of thermodynamics?
Argument.
He's actually right.
Good point.
He's actually right.
Don't worry about that. That's a
If you're going to cite thermodynamics, then you also can't dismiss it when I bring it up.
So explain to us. Hold on, QE. Hold on, QE. Hold on. Hold on. So
there's other modes of heat transfer.
I wasn't clearing the airways
understand.
for you. I was clearing them for me.
No, I want to interrupt.
Oh my God, Arwen, you're not helping. Excuse me. Can you? Jesus wept. Excuse me. Can you please summarise precisely what it is about the laws of thermodynamics in this exact scenario with the simple quoted rhetoric of what's happening where, according to the BallTards, the citations that have been presented? Explain how that would differ from it just being what they say it is.
Yeah, so the temperature of the gas molecules at that layer of the atmosphere is that temperature, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the entire ISS will be heated to that temperature. Because
don't just appeal to it might not fucking be that. Tell us why, you brain dead retard.
I am telling you why, because...
No, you said it just doesn't mean that it could be that not temperature. That means nothing. You haven't given us any cowbell. You haven't explained why. You haven't applied second law of thermodynamics or the first law or any law. So don't just repeat your claim that it could possibly not be that. Tell us why. Preferably with thermodynamic laws applied. I haven't finished berating you, so shut up. Preferably with thermodynamic laws applied to your explanation. Not, it just doesn't necessarily mean it. That's useless.
I didn't say necessarily anything. I'm telling you that the analogy is going to explain this to you. And if you're going to cite thermodynamics, then I get to use them just as well.
Don't use the analogy. Why are the molecules in the thermosphere that hot? Why?
I would trust the citation that you had.
Well, they're saying that the temperature is said they are, so you've got absolutely no argument then. Oh, God, moving on. Any of the BALLBUSTERS got anything to add? Because otherwise we'll end up running over. How much more presentation is there, by the way?
Just one more section. I'll try to go through it quick.
Okay, we'll rattle through the BALLBUSTERS. Any opinions from anyone? I won't go through by name. Just speak up if you've got anything to add. Clearly not. Everyone's probably in the chat. I'll pop you back up, QE.
Good. Yep, this is the last one. Let's make it real quick. This is pretty funny. So the NASA star lies. I got this from a video. I think the link's down here further with all these bozos in interviews. So they're live interviews. So I took it right from the transcript. So question, what does the sky look like from space? Neil Armstrong, Apollo 11. The sky is deep black, is viewed from the moon, and it is from the cislunar space. That is the space between the Earth and the moon. Edgar Mitchell, Apollo 14. You have to realize that in space, without the intervening atmosphere, the heavens are 10 times as bright. Stars 10 times luminous. Perfect consistency. Good job, guys. So let's take a look at the Chris Hadfields. So this is Chris Hadfield, the ISS commander, interview from the ISS. The sky is almost white. With the light of the universe, with the uncountable number of stars, you can't see the constellations because the sky is just so alive with stars. Chris Hadfield, post-ISS mission. What you see is an immensely deep blackness. It's like a black with a texture. It's a palpable blackness. Not just a blackness, but a powerful blackness. With black velvetness, but textured but without any shininess forever. Are these two different Chris Hadfields? I mean, this is a belly laughing joke, Your Honor. Bailiff, throw him out on his hair, out on his neck. So, James Riley, astronaut. billions and billions of stars, and you can see them. In fact, they're so numerous, it's very difficult to pick out the constellations. That you and I see here on the ground, some of the stars have colors we don't see on the ground. You see these pastel colors, light yellows, light pinks, light oranges, even light red ones, and light blue. There's all kinds of colors. I live in Colorado, and when you get up in Colorado on a clear night up in the mountain where there's no light, you can see all these stars. Well, multiply that by 1,000. That's what it's like in space. As opposed to Tim Peake, interview from the ISS. The most unexpected thing was the blackness of space. Are you seeing the inconsistency here, guys? Last one. Mike Massimino and Don Pettit, NASA astronauts, dual interview. Mike, you can see the stars. Don, oh yeah. Mike, pretty much all the time you can see the stars. Don, yeah. It's not a black void. He needs to meet one of the Chris Hadfields. There's more than stars. You can see the planets. You can see the moons. You can see zodiacal lights. Mike, whoa, the lights of the zodiac. Like I said, have you two bozos met Neil, the sky is a deep black Armstrong, and or Chris, a powerful blackness Hatfield #2? The Keystone Cops, Abbott and Costello, and Mr. Magoo are blushing. You guys need to get your story straight. You're counting on all your listeners being as dumb as you are. Yeah, well, we're not. You're busted. That's it. Thanks for your ear. Have a nice day.
Cool. We'll get some rounding out comments from BALLBUSTERS, and then, as I've plugged it all the way through the show, be sure to check out Ranty's show after this one, if you're watching live on Quantum Eraser. We'll start with you, Anthony. Hopefully you've got a bit more to add than usual. Get your head out of the chat.
It's not in the chat, it's in the chips.
Oh, is that what it is? Oh, if he's eating, then fair enough. I'll go to someone else. Owen, you there?
Yo.
What do you reckon to all these contradictions in regards to what you can see when you're up in the second law of thermodynamics violation known as outer space?
Well, I think that their entire visualization of what it's supposed to be is a fantasy in the first place. It's much more visual orientated rather than on trying to be physically realistic. That's where it stems from.
These people are liars, man. I just busted them out, Your Honor. They should be hung by a friggin' yardarm. All of them.
Okay.
Paula? I agree. It's disgusting. But yeah, Paula?
Yeah, they're unreliable witnesses. If they can't be consistent, then that's all they are. And of course, he's already been accused of quote mining, but people don't know, once again, the difference between quoting and quote mining. Quote mining would be if you are deliberately skewing the meaning by the context would have given a different understanding, but they never established that that's what's happening here, but they just make the accusation anyway and assume that if you're quoting their people and they don't like what the people are saying, then they call it quote mining. That's their definition of it. But other than that, no, nothing else to add.
Chocolate?
That's all they got is quote mining? That's all your ballers are left with is quote mining. Please show one. You don't even, number one, you don't know what it is. Quote mining. You have no friggin' clue. You think that stupid appeal covers you. I'll just call you a bank robber. Friggin' bank robbers out there. And one of your boys, Rumpus, is the one that's quote mining. He was caught out on Ranty's. Why don't you go climb on his neck? You friggin' retarded clowns. And your religion is retarded. And it just got jacked yard. Ha!
Go ahead, Chocolate.
Yeah, I think it's funny when these guys say it's quote mining. It's like, so what? What, like, are you kidding? These are quotes coming from the astronauts, the very people who are telling you they've been up there in this medium and they've seen this crap. And they're telling you with their own words. Some of them are telling you they see stars. Some of them are saying it's so bright. Some of them are saying it's deep black. Are you in some type of trance that you can't see that these people are lying to you? Because they should all be on the same page, right? Did somebody miss the briefing? What the hell is going on here? And people, I mean, this was the type of stuff that for me drove me away from NASA long before Flat Earth. I mean, come on. You see these people telling you, talking out of both sides of their mouth, and you're just going to believe it because you want to? Nah, I'm sorry. It's the same thing with the Van Allen belts. Some of them tell you, oh, they went really fast. And then some of them tell you, oh, they didn't even know about it before they made it through the Van Allen belts. I mean, come on. It's double-speak nonsense, and people just fall for it. It's ridiculous.
Did I get everyone? Maybe Chocolate, Sleeping Warrior's back now. Can you hear us, Sleeping Warrior? No worries. We'll get some final comments from the Discord server, then we'll round out the live show. So feel free, share your pain.
I want to know how you guys think that the flat Earth can predict perfectly solar eclipses and lunar eclipses exactly like the globe Earth and heliocentric model can.
We haven't claimed it. You've just claimed it though, haven't you? Like the heliocentric model can? Now you're strawmanning
yeah,
us.
sure, it's perfectly
Oh no, I get about 3 words out while I say he's strawmanning us, and suddenly it's his time to talk, rather than him to listen, be bent over, spanked for his fallacy that he's used. No, we don't claim that. We don't provide a model, and we don't say how it should work, as you say the heliocentric model does. But now we're going to get to the point in the after show, because I'm not going to let this go too long on the live show, point out that you won't even have a model.
Oh yeah, sure we do. I mean, we can accurately predict the solar eclipses perfectly with the globe and heliocentric model. I mean, how does that work if it's
Can you link us that model?
Predicting it 800 BC. So were they spinning ballers? Clown show.
So yeah, I'm not going to let that come into the main live show because I'm going to get our final thoughts from the Ballbusters. Then I'm going to round out the live show and ask people watching on my channel to stay tuned. So any closing remarks from any of the Ballbusters team?
Earth is flat.
That's true.
Yeah, these arguments are just, they're done. Like Ron said, Earth is flat. You're not going to prove curvature. You're not going to prove anything telling us about the sun and where it is and what it's supposed to be doing when you don't, in your own model, don't have the actual size or actual position. It's a joke. It's all a joke. We don't live on a spinning water ball in a vacuum.
We all got some rumblings from Discord. My bad. Discord rumblings, if you can wait to the after show. We will get back to you. Go on, John.
All right. Yeah, he said Chocolate was talking about their model. They don't even have a model.
Right. Arwin, Paula, maybe Sleeping Warrior. Hopefully we'll hear from him again. Any more for any more?
Nope.
Well, what a prompt ending this is going to be. So with that, I will say if you are watching this on either the Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley channels, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on the Quantum Eraser channel, then this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of today's Discord panel for making the live interactive show part of the show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to Paula, otherwise known as Bible Literalist, Anthony, that's Sleeping Warrior, Chocolate Saying, Arwin, and of course Quantum Eraser himself for making this Ballbusters possible. Be sure to smash the PayPal link below this live video if you want to support Quantum Eraser. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on the Nathan Oakley premiering streams, and we'll see you all in the next Ballbusters.